Python 14 comes with a new pretty cool feature called tstring for template strings. I will show you what they are, how you can use them, how do they improve upon the other ways we had to interpolate strings in Python, and more importantly, how you can leverage that feature to build better prompts for AI. Let's go. So far in Python, we have a few ways to interpolate strings. You have the concatenation, so using the plus operator, you have the systyle using the $sign, you have the curly braces with the format method, or you have the f-string, which is the most popular now and the most modern version, where you directly inject a variable into a string. And I would say that most people use this way right now. F-string is super convenient and easy to use, but it has a fatal flaw. It's direct evaluation. So when you do that here, when you inject some informations that come from a user into a string using f-string, you get directly a new string. So it's hard after the interpolation to be able to inspect the different parts and to maybe escape some part of it or detect that something is wrong with the part of the user. You have to do it before, or you have to use libraries that do the, let's say, the escaping for you. So in that scenario, someone could do some XSS injection into our code, or if you use SQL, some people could do SQL injection if you just interpolate the strings using f-strings. But now in 3.14, we have tstrings. And they are pretty similar at the first glance. So an f-string has the f letter before the string, and a tstring has the t letter. But they are really different because a tstring allows you to inspect the different parts after interpolation, meaning that you know what are the different variables that the user injected into your string, and you can do some processing on them. Okay, so let's take a look at a quick example. So here we have name Alice, place Python, and we have a template where we interpolate the name and the place. But now we don't get a simple string. We get an interpolation. It means that you can iterate on the part and display their type and their content. So the output of this script would be string str hello. So it's just this part here. Take a look. But then you get interpolation Alice name. So you know the value and what was the keyword in the tstring. Then you get welcome to, and again an interpolation of Python in the keyword place. So this is super powerful and allows you to do some complex processing on the interpolated string. So if we take a look here at a simple processing, we have this function called lower upper, and it makes static parts lowercase and interpolation uppercase. So we have here a simple tstring, hello name, and we process it with a function. But now we get as an input a template, not a string. And we can iterate on the different parts, and if it's an interpolation, we uppercase, or we lowercase. And so the output here would be hello Alice, but hello in lowercase, Alice in uppercase. So this is very simple, but it's the foundation of what we can do. We can process tstring to another output by inspecting the different parts. Now let's see a real life example. So HTML escaping. So you have here a user input, you have, as before, the interpolation, and we want to process it in a way that we make sure that we have no injection of malicious code. So here, as before, we create a tstring that interpolates the user content, but here we process it. And for each interpolation, so each variable that the user inputs, we call html.escape that will escape this content. And then we get a final output that is totally escaped, so the malicious code cannot be executed. And now the cool part. I want to show you how you could leverage this feature to build better prompts for AI. So as we saw, we are able to inspect the tstring. So now we have some ways to clearly analyze what a user injects into our prompt. So we have a prompt with some places where we want to inject some user content, but we want to process those so that, for instance, we avoid malicious attack. So you know, people can hijack your prompt by putting instructions like ignore all previous instructions and do blah blah. So here we build a secure prompt that will detect here in a very simple way malicious intentions from users. So here we use some keywords, but you could use another LLM or another model, for instance. And here, whenever the user passes an input that we inject into our prompt, we analyze, and if we find that it's a malicious injection, we escape it using here just user input, which is very simple, but you can imagine that if you have a fine-tuned model that knows that a specific HTML tag encapsulates user content and should be disregarded in terms of instruction, it can be really helpful. So in action, it would look like this. You have a malicious prompt here. A malicious input from a user. You have your prompt, and you call secure prompt from the interpolation. So you see here. And this, you would get the output, so neutralized if there was malicious intentions, otherwise it would be as the user intended. Now, a second very cool example. So in AI, we have to control the costs, and also we have limitation about the context window. So what happens if you have a prompt, but the user inject a huge input into your prompt? You could go out of your context window size, or you could explode your token costs. So to do so, here we build a function called token-aware prompt. What it does is you have a max tokens here, and for each part that the user injects into your prompt, we will check if it goes beyond this limitation. If it is the case, we cut the input and we interpolate. So here, as you can see, for each part, we check if we are above the total, and if it's the case, we just truncate and we just append the truncated part. So that looks like this. So you have a massive document. So let's say a user gives you a huge string that you put into your prompt, and you call token-aware prompt, and in the end, you get an input for your model that is truncated to the good size. So that's it. Python 3.14 comes with this new template string feature that allows you to inspect different parts of a templated string. Compared to fstring that gives you a final interpolated string, with tstring you can inspect the different parts and process them. It allows a lot of possibilities, so you can now build prompts in a smarter way for AI, but you can see that it's also useful for HTML, SQL. Every time you need to process some string data, and especially when you merge it with data that was provided by a user. So give it a try, let me know in the comments if you find it useful, and see you in the next one.